blurry. Like you stumble out of bed, you immediately stub your toe on the dresser, bump your shoulder against the door frame, and you start getting furious at the furniture.
Oh, absolutely. Like you're standing there thinking, who moved the dresser?
Right. You're
Yeah.
thinking, why is this door frame suddenly so narrow? I need to remodel this entire house right now.
Which is, completely missing the actual problem.
Exactly. So today on the deep dive, we are looking at exactly that. Why we constantly try to remodel our external environments instead of, examining the lenses we're actually looking through. We're pulling from a really passionate breakdown by the YouTube channel Du Pas Me Caffeine.
Yeah, their review on Stephen Covey's legendary book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Right. And our mission today isn't just to summarize a book. We're digging into the underlying psychology of radical change. We want to figure out why some people successfully transform their lives while others they just keep stubbing their toes.
Yeah, and the premise here is so essential because, The 7 Habits is a giant in the self-development space. It has over 400,000 ratings on Goodreads.
Wow, that's massive.
It is. It's sitting at a 4.1 average, constantly topping all those best of lists.
Yeah.
But the reviewer in our source material points out something that's honestly easily missed.
Which is what?
Well, getting into the actual habits without understanding the foundational psychology beneath them, it's completely useless.
Yeah.
To get any real value out of those habits, you have to first master 2 fundamental keys that the book's introduction lays out.
Okay, so if you are listening to this right now and you feel stuck, maybe in your relationships, maybe you've hit a ceiling in your career, or you're just, incredibly frustrated with your own personal growth, this deep dive is going to challenge the very lens through which you view every single one of those problems.
Yeah, because the natural human tendency when we're unhappy is to just look outside ourselves for the fix.
Right, we think, oh, if only I got that promotion, I'd be respected. Or if only my partner was more attentive, our marriage would be great.
Exactly. We are always waiting for the outside world to change so that we can finally feel better on the inside. But the source argues that this approach is entirely backwards.
Completely backwards.
Yeah, the first key to all of this is a concept Covey calls inside-out change. Real, lasting transformation just does not happen from the outside in.
It has to be inside out.
Right, it must happen from the inside out. The core argument is that if you change internally first, your external circumstances will inevitably shift as a byproduct of that new internal state.
Trying to change your outside circumstances without changing yourself first is like trying to fix a glitch in a video game by aggressively wiping down your TV screen.
That is a perfect way to put it.
Right, like you are attacking the completely wrong layer of reality. You can polish that glass all day long, but the glitch is in the software code.
And wiping the screen is just so much easier than learning how to rewrite the code,
Oh, definitely. Which is probably why we all default to complaining about our circumstances. It's just easier.
It really is. And that analogy perfectly captures the illusion of control we chase. We want to rearrange the furniture of our lives because it feels actionable. But the source material compares this necessary shift in thinking to Nicholas Copernicus.
Oh, right, the astronomer.
Yeah, which really puts the scale of this mental hurdle into perspective. Because for thousands of years, humanity operated under the firm, completely unquestioned belief that the Earth was stationary and the sun and all the planets revolved around us.
It makes sense. It was fundamental truth of human existence based on simple observation. If you step outside and look up, the sun physically appears to move across the sky.
Exactly. Based on the raw data available to the naked eye, it made perfect sense. But then Copernicus comes along and introduces this massive conceptual flip.
He flips the whole model.
Right, he asserts that the sun is still, and we are the ones moving. Accepting that internal shift and understanding, literally changing our conceptual model of the solar system, was what sparked unprecedented scientific advancement.
Wow.
Yeah, the source notes that without that massive conceptual flip, we wouldn't have modern physics, space travel, or, satellite technology. All of that external progress was unlocked by a single, profound internal shift in how we understood reality.
So bringing that down to a practical level for, say, Tuesday afternoon dealing with a difficult boss or a stressful family dynamic, it basically means that if you want to see external progress in your life, you have to have your own Copernicus moment.
You really do.
You have to stop believing that the world revolves around your fixed state and realize that, hey, you are the one who has to move.
Spot on.
But if we know that change has to happen from the inside out, what exactly is that internal software we're supposed to be rewriting?
Well, that brings us to the second key from the source material, the concept of paradigms.
Paradigms. Okay.
Yeah. According to the reviewer, a paradigm is essentially the accumulated collection of thoughts, experiences, and beliefs that we have gathered since the moment we were born.
So it's everything.
Everything, every success, every failure, the lessons taught by your parents, the cultural norms you absorbed, it all compacts together to form a highly individualized lens. And you view the entire world through that specific lens.
And the terrifying part is that we generally don't realize we are wearing these lenses. We just operate under the assumption that we're looking at objective reality.
Right, we think we're just seeing the truth.
Yeah, but as the reviewer points out, many of us are walking around with lenses that are dirty, scratched, warped, or, completely shattered.
We assume our vision is flawless, which creates massive blind spots.
Yeah.
And it gets crazier because our brains will actually overwrite reality to fit our paradigms.
Overwrite reality.
Yeah. The source highlights a bizarre historical case with a French philosopher that shows exactly how this visual overwriting happens in real time.
See, I understand how paradigms apply to our opinions or political views, but surely raw, visual, data-like things we see with our own eyes is immune to these lenses.
You would definitely think so. But the brain is an energy-saving machine. It uses paradigms as predictive models to process reality faster.
Okay, so what happened with the philosopher?
So in this story from the source, a French philosopher is standing at a busy intersection and witnesses a terrible crash between a car and a motorcycle.
Okay, a very clear physical event.
Right. The police arrive to take witness statements. The philosopher steps up, acting as a reliable, objective observer, and he insists to the police that the car hit the motorcycle. He watched it happen and is absolutely adamant that the driver of the car is at fault.
I mean, that sounds like a standard traffic accident report.
It does, until the guy riding the motorcycle walks over to the police and admits that he actually ran into the car. He caused the accident.
Wait, really?
Yeah. The philosopher is left standing there, completely stunned, experiencing massive cognitive dissonance.
All right.
Because he literally saw the car hit the motorcycle with his own two eyes.
How does a highly educated, observant thinker see something that objectively did not happen? That's wild.
It all comes down to his internal paradigm regarding power dynamics. In his deeply ingrained worldview, cars are large, heavy, metallic, and aggressive.
Right.
And motorcycles are small, exposed, and vulnerable. Therefore, a motorcycle cannot possibly be the aggressor against a car.
I see.
So when the chaotic blur of the accident happened, his brain processed the raw visual data through that warped lens, instead of rebuilding his entire worldview to accommodate this new, contradictory information.
His brain just took the path of least resistance.
Exactly. It literally edited the memory in real time to fit his pre-existing belief.
That is genuinely scary. His brain essentially photoshopped reality so it would make sense to his paradigm.
That's a great way to put it, yeah.
Which means we don't actually see the world as it is, we see the world as we are.
Which introduces a rather unsettling thought.
I'll say.
If our brains are willing to trick us about something as mechanical as a traffic accident between strangers, what happens when we point these flawed lenses at the people we love?
Oh, wow. That feels like a much higher stakes scenario. Like, we can easily misjudge a stranger, but surely we don't have these warped lenses when it comes to our own families. We know them intimately.
You'd hope so. But the source material pulls a very vulnerable story from Stephen Covey's own life that argues otherwise.
What happened?
It's about his son, who was going through a severely difficult patch. He was struggling academically, falling way behind in school, and his performance in baseball was terrible.
Like, just generally struggling.
Yeah, to the point where it was actively embarrassing for the kid. Covey and his wife, Sandra, did what most loving parents would do. They tried to be incredibly supportive by going into full defense mode.
Trying to apply an external fix to an internal problem?
Precisely. They altered their outward behavior. They would go to his baseball games and cheer wildly, way louder than anyone else.
No.
If he managed to even hold the bat correctly, they would lavish him with exaggerated praise.
Oh, man.
They basically became his personal bodyguards, constantly stepping in to protect him from bullies or anyone who might criticize him.
I imagine the son didn't respond well to that level of hovering. Kids usually hate that.
He did hate it. It completely backfired. The excessive cheering and protection made him feel worse than ever, to the point where he just wanted to quit entirely.
Wow.
Yeah, Covey and his wife were baffled. They thought they were doing everything right by being relentlessly supportive. But after a period of deep reflection, they realized that all of their outward actions of quote-unquote support were actually broadcasting a devastating internal paradigm.
Because kids are incredibly attuned to the underlying anxiety of their parents. They don't just hear the words, they feel the intent behind them.
Exactly. The hidden message they were sending, without even realizing it, was, you are weak, you are lacking, you are inherently broken, and you need us to constantly prop you up and protect you because you cannot survive on your own.
That is heartbreaking.
It is. Their paradigm of their own son was that he was inadequate, and no amount of external performative cheering could cover up the fact that the boy could feel that underlying belief.
So they realized they had to undergo that Copernicus shift. They had to change their own internal software rather than trying to manage his external environment.
Yes, exactly.
They intentionally started viewing their son not as a fragile, failing kid, but as a naturally independent, capable human being who was simply developing at his own unique pace.
And because their internal paradigm shifted, their external behaviors naturally followed. They stopped the exaggerated cheering, they stopped fighting all his battles for him, they stepped back and gave him the psychological breathing room to exist.
And what happened?
Well, as a direct consequence of this internal shift from his parents, the son's confidence bloomed. He started excelling in school, his grades shot up, and he actually became a fantastic baseball player. He found his footing because his parents finally saw him as someone who could stand on his own 2 feet.
I love that story, but I have to play devil's advocate for a second here.
Sure, go ahead.
When you hear the story about Covey's son, it flirts dangerously closely with magical thinking. It sounds like, oh, if I just believe really, really hard that my kid is smart, poof, he gets smart. Isn't there a danger of just being completely delusional about people's actual capabilities?
It's a vital distinction to make, for sure. This is not magic, and it's not simply the power of positive thinking. It is grounded in behavioral science.
Okay, explain that.
The paradigm you hold about a person dictates the thousands of unconscious micro-behaviors you exhibit toward them. The source actually outlines an incredible 20th century school experiment that proves the mechanical reality of this concept.
Oh, is this the one with the clerical error?
Yes, the typo. There were 2 distinct groups of students. One group was tested and identified as highly gifted. The other group was identified as having severe learning difficulties.
Right.
But when the administrative paperwork was sent to the teachers for the new semester, a massive typo occurred. The labels were completely swapped.
Meaning the teachers inherited completely manufactured paradigms.
Exactly. The teacher taking over the class of gifted students was handed a roster, labeling them as struggling and slow. The teacher taking over the class of struggling students was handed a roster, labeling them as hidden geniuses.
That is wild. Did anyone notice?
No one caught the error until the end of the term. But when they finally analyzed the academic results, the data was shocking. The genuinely gifted students whose teacher believed they were slow saw their grades absolutely plummet. Their performance deteriorated drastically.
And the struggling kids whose teacher believed they were geniuses experienced a massive surge in their academic performance. Their grades soared. But how does a typo change actual academic output?
It's all in those micro-behaviors we just discussed. If a teacher genuinely believes a student is a genius, how do they treat them?
Differently, I assume.
Very differently. When that student gets a difficult question wrong, the teacher doesn't think, oh, they just aren't smart enough. The teacher's paradigm dictates a different response. They think they must be bored, or I need to explain this in a more engaging way.
Right, they take it on themselves.
Yeah, they give the student more time to answer, they adjust their tone of voice to be more respectful, they offer challenging opportunities.
While the teacher who believes their students are incapable responds to failure as confirmation bias.
Exactly.
Every time the student struggles, it just confirms the teacher's warped lens. They likely talk down to them, assign easier work, and just stop pushing them to excel. And the student feels that lack of expectation and gives up.
That's exactly it. If you genuinely see someone as capable, whether it's your child, your employee, or your partner, your paradigm creates the exact environmental conditions they need to thrive.
So you aren't magically making them smart, you're just giving them the structural respect required to succeed.
Yes. Now, the source actually refers to this process of shifting relationships as the farm theory of change.
The farm theory implies a timeline. Like, you plant the seed, change the lens, and then wait for the harvest.
Because you cannot cram for a harvest on a farm. If you change your paradigm of someone today, they won't instantly trust your new behavior tomorrow. You have to endure a period where your new internal reality doesn't match their external reactions.
You have to keep watering that new paradigm through consistent actions until they believe it.
Right.
But if the farm theory requires time and endurance, is it ever possible to rewire a lifetime of beliefs in a single second? Like changing a fundamental lens instantaneously just seems neurologically impossible.
It is rare, but the source highlights what is arguably the most famous story in Covey's book as proof of instantaneous paradigm shifting.
Let's hear it.
It takes place on a Sunday morning on the New York subway. The atmosphere is totally calm. People are sitting quietly, reading newspapers, resting their eyes. A very specific, tranquil social paradigm is established.
Okay, I can picture it.
Then at the next stop, a man walks onto the train car with his kids. And these kids are completely out of control.
Oh no.
They're screaming at the top of their lungs, throwing things and snatching newspapers out of the hands of the other passengers. It is absolute chaos, and the father just sits down, closes his eyes, and does absolutely nothing.
Just lets it happen.
Yeah, he lets his kids terrorize the train car, totally oblivious.
I'm getting stressed just hearing about it. You can track the threat detection system in Covey's brain activating. The social norm has been violently violated.
Oh yeah, Covey's getting furious. He's sitting there stewing, deeply annoyed by this incredibly selfish parent who refuses to take responsibility.
Right.
Finally, he can't take it anymore. He turns to the man, barely containing his anger, and confronts him, demanding he control his children.
He addresses the external behavior, demanding an external fix.
Exactly. And the man opens his eyes, looks around like he's just waking up from a deep sleep, and says, "Oh, you're right. I guess I should do something. We just came from the hospital. Their mother died about an hour ago. I don't know what to think, and I guess they don't know how to handle it either."
Wow. I mean, the tension in that quiet train car just evaporating. The facts of the situation didn't change at all. The kids were still screaming. The external reality of the train car was exactly as loud and chaotic as it was 2 seconds prior.
But Covey's reality fundamentally shattered and rebuilt itself in a fraction of a second. His paradigm shifted instantaneously. The lens of, "this is a lazy, selfish father," vanished.
And it was replaced by the lens of, "this is a grieving husband whose life just fell apart."
Because his paradigm shifted, his emotional state instantly transformed. The anger just evaporated. The brain received new data, neutralized the perceived social threat, and immediately activated his empathy circuitry.
He went from wanting to yell at the guy to immediately asking how he could help.
Right. This is the ultimate proof that our feelings, frustrations, and actions are not dictated by external circumstances. They are dictated entirely by the paradigm we use to interpret those circumstances.
That's incredibly powerful.
Covey couldn't change the tragic reality of that man's life, and he couldn't instantly quiet the children, but by changing his internal lens, his entire experience shifted from anger to deep connection.
It really makes you wonder how often we sit on our own metaphorical subway trains, judging the people around us. We get furious at our partners, feel disconnected from our teenagers, or write off a coworker, completely trapped in our own dirty lenses, genuinely believing we are seeing the objective truth.
Yeah, and the source quotes a profound proverb to summarize this entire philosophy. It goes, "Sow a thought, reap an action. Sow an action, reap a habit. Sow a habit, reap a character. Sow a character, reap a destiny."
It all starts with the thought.
The paradigm. You cannot reap a new destiny if you are planting the same old flawed thoughts.
You can't just forcefully change the external stuff if the underlying paradigm hasn't shifted from the inside out. As we wrap up this deep dive, we want to turn this back to you, listening right now. We started by talking about waking up with the wrong prescription glasses and spending our precious energy trying to move the furniture.
Right.
We try to force our circumstances to fit our comfort zone to make our lives easier.
But if your reality is just a reflection of your internal paradigms, the way you see the problem is often the actual problem.
Think about your biggest, most stubborn daily frustration. The relationship or situation that feels impossible to fix. Are you absolutely certain you were seeing the whole truth? Or is a warped paradigm the root cause?
It's a tough question to ask yourself.
It really is. And to take that one step further, if our individual paradigms dictate our personal reality, what happens when an entire society shares a completely flawed paradigm? Are there massive cultural lenses we are all wearing right now that future generations will look back on as totally warped? It is something to keep in mind the next time you find yourself entirely convinced that you are the only one seeing things clearly.